Welcome. Tonight we re-stepping quietly into a place that almost feels folded between the floors of an ordinary building, a place that shouldn't exist and yet somehow does. As you settle in, picture yourself standing in the soft glow of a hallway where the air smells faintly of fresh paint and warm dust, the kind that rises when the sun hits old carpet. You're holding a new set of keys, their cold weight resting in your palm, and you're about to open a door that technically I isn't supposed to be here at all. And just so, if this were real life, you probably wouldn't survive the paperwork alone, let alone the mystery. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're awake enough, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is over there. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You arrive at your new building late in the afternoon, carrying a single suitcase that bumps against your leg as you walk. It's one of those old places renovated just enough to look modern, but still carrying that lived-in feeling. The hallway lights flicker once when you press the elevator button, like they're greeting you with a shy little nod. You don't think much of it. It feels normal, almost comforting, like the building is stretching its joints before it welcomes you. When the elevator doors slide open, you ride up to the third floor. The doors part softly, and you step into a quiet corridor. Something about the air feels slightly cooler here, but nice. Refreshing. You look left, then right, and there it is. Apartment 3F, your new home. The door is a deep, calming gray, the kind of color that blends into the world without trying too hard. It's ordinary, comfortably ordinary. That's why you don't notice anything strange at all at first. You slide the key into the lock, and it turns with a smooth click. The door opens easily, like it's been waiting for you. Inside, the apartment is simple and bright, with pale walls and sunlight catching the edges of the wooden floor. You step inside and let out a small breath you didn't realize you were holding. Moving into a new place always feels like pressing reset. A clean page. A gentle, uncluttered moment where life seems ready to shift. As you walk around, the rooms feel peaceful. The living room has a window that faces a quiet courtyard, and with the light drifting in, everything has a soft glow to it. You touch the edge of the countertop in the small kitchen, the surface cool and smooth beneath your fingertips. You're tired, still carrying that familiar mix of excitement and uncertainty that comes with new beginnings. You notice how your shoes make a faint tapping sound on the floor, and somehow that tiny sound makes the space feel more alive. But then, only a minute later, there's a soft knock at your door. You blink, surprised. You weren't expecting anyone? It's only your first few minutes here. You walk back to the entrance and pull the door open, and an older woman stands there, holding a potted plant with tiny white flowers. She smiles politely, her posture relaxed, almost elegant in a quiet way. "Hello," she says, her voice gentle. "You must be the new tenant." You nod and smile back. "Just moved in." She hesitates, glancing at the number on your door. "Oh, I see. I didn't realize the apartment was being rented again." You laugh a little, thinking she's just confused. "Again? I thought it was vacant for a while." Another pause. A small, almost imperceptible tightening at the corner of her eyes. "That's odd," she murmurs softly, "because someone's been living there." Your smile fades slightly, but you try to keep things light. "Well, I'm the only keys now." She shifts the plant in her hands, her fingertips brushing its leaves. "I'm Mrs. Golly, by the way. I live at the end of the hall. If you need anything, don't hesitate to knock." She gives you the plant. "Here, a little welcome gift." You take it, feeling the warmth of the pot. "Thank you." "That's really kind." She offers a nod and walks away, her steps soft against the carpet. You close the door and lock it, but the moment lingers in your mind longer than it should. Someone's been living there? Her words echo with a strange, gentle uncertainty. You walk back into the living room, place the plant on the windowsill, and sit on the floor, letting your back rest against the wall. The apartment feels pleasant, almost soothing. There's nothing out of place, nothing unusual. The walls feel still, the air calm, but a tiny thread of curiosity tightens inside you. It's a familiar human sensation, that feeling when something doesn't quite align, and yet you can't help leaning in closer to understand it. Your phone buzzes and you look at the screen. Your friend Lena checking on you again, asking if the move went okay. You send her a quick reply, telling her everything feels good so far. You don't mention the odd comment from the neighbor. It feels too small, too silly to bring up. And maybe you just want to enjoy this moment without overthinking it. Your fingers tap lightly against your knee, the way they always do when you're trying to settle your thoughts. A small habit, a rhythm that belongs only to you. You look around the apartment again. It really does feel like yours, quiet, clear, waiting. But your mind drifts back to that tiny question. What did she mean? And if someone had been living here, why wasn't there any trace of them? This open-ended thought hangs softly in your chest, not heavy, just lingering. A curiosity that doesn't demand answers right away. You let it sit with you, the way small mysteries often do. After a moment, you stand up and walk to the hallway again. From inside, the door looks even more normal, solid, still. You breathe out slowly, feeling the air settle around you like a gentle blanket. You tell yourself that neighbors sometimes mix things up. People misremember. Buildings have histories you're not always aware of. And really, maybe she was just making conversation. The kind you forget about by tomorrow. Still, when you step deeper into the apartment, something soft tugs at the edge of your attention. A feeling like you've arrived somewhere that already remembers you, even if you don't remember it. You shake the thought away with a small smile. New apartments always feel a little strange at first. It's normal. Completely normal. And with that, you start unpacking your suitcase, letting the room fill slowly with hints of your life, piece by gentle piece. The next morning begins softly, the way quiet mornings sometimes do when you wake in a place that still feels like it's introducing itself. The light that slips through the window has a warm, sleepy tone to it, and for a long moment you just lie there listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator and the barely there creak of the building settling around you. There's something comforting in the way these small sounds make the space feel lived in, even though you've only been here a day. You stretch slowly, letting your toes brush the cool edge of the sheet and breathe in that gentle scent of freshly painted walls mixed with the faint aroma of your own shampoo. It's a small grounding detail that reminds you you're building a new routine. When you finally get up, your footsteps make soft thumps against the floor. You catch yourself tapping a little beat against your thigh, that tiny unconscious habit that always shows up when you're trying to shake off morning fog. You smile at it. It's familiar, steadying like a friendly nudge from your own body. You make yourself some coffee, sipping from a mug that still feels strangely heavy because you haven't grown used to the acoustics of this space yet. Everything echoes just a touch more than you expect, but not in a spooky way, just a gentle reminder that the walls are listening while you settle in. You decide to step out and grab a few groceries. When you open the door, the hallway lights are soft and calm, humming with that low electrical buzz old buildings carry like a heartbeat. You lock the door behind you, slipping the keys into your pocket, and walk toward the elevator. That's when you see him. A man in his 30s, maybe, standing at the opposite end of the hallway. He has friendly eyes, a neatly trimmed beard, and the kind of posture that makes him look like he spent a lot of time carrying boxes or furniture. He raises a hand in a small wave, and you return the gesture. "You're the new neighbor, right?" he asks as he walks closer. His voice is warm, a little bit husky. "Yeah," you say, smiling. "Moved in yesterday," He stops a few steps away, giving you just enough space to feel comfortable. I'm Kareem. I live right next door. He gestures to the door labeled 3E. Welcome to the floor. It's usually really peaceful up here. Thank you, you say. It already feels nice. He nods, but then his gaze shifts briefly to your door. There's a tiny flicker of something in his expression: surprise. Confusion. It passes too quickly to read clearly, but it's there. So they reopened it. You tilt your head. Reopened? He hesitates, rubbing the back of his neck. It's probably nothing. Just thought that place wasn't going to be rented again for a while. His tone is casual, but there's a soft weight behind it, like he knows more than he wants to say. This time, you decide to push just a little. Did someone live there before? You ask lightly, keeping your voice friendly. He gives a soft laugh, but it's the kind someone gives when they're not sure how much to share. It's hard to explain. People say things on this floor. You know how neighbors are. They talk. Stories get weird. Then he waves a hand as if brushing the thought away. Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it. You nod, though a small thread of curiosity wraps around you again. Well, if you ever feel like telling me one of those stories, I won't mind. He smiles at that, a real easy smile this time. Maybe, when you've settled in, you part ways and head downstairs. As you walk down the street, the air smells like warm bread from the bakery on the corner. Your mind wanders back to the conversation, not in a dramatic way, just that gentle tug of wondering, the kind that keeps your thoughts floating around a single question without landing. People keep saying someone lived there, but the apartment feels untouched, like a clean page. That contradiction sits softly in your mind. After grabbing groceries, you return home. You place your bags on the counter and notice, for the first time, that the apartment has a faint, unfamiliar scent beneath everything else. Not strong at all. Just a whisper of something like lavender mixed with old books. You pause, breathing in deeper, trying to place it. Maybe it's from the previous tenants. Maybe it's from the cleaning products they used. You shrug it off. Normal things can feel strange the first few days. You begin unpacking groceries. As you put away the tea, your fingers tap the cabinet door, the soft rhythmic sound grounding you again. But as the tapping echoes gently through the room, you hear another sound layered underneath. Very soft, almost like someone shifting their weight against a wall. You freeze for a moment, listening, then it stops. You smile at yourself. Old building, you whisper, and you let the thought dissolve. Later that afternoon, you step outside your apartment again to take out some cardboard boxes. As you turn toward the trash chute, you notice Mrs. Scully standing halfway down the hall, talking to another neighbor. The moment she sees you, her expression flickers surprise, maybe even something like uncertainty. She excuses herself and walks your way. "How are you settling in?" she asks politely. "Pretty well," you say. "Everyone's been kind." Her gaze flicks to your door again. "I see. Good. There's a pause, long enough to be noticeable. You decide to ask gently, "Is something wrong?" She shakes her head quickly. No, not at all. It's just when places change hands, the floor feels different for a while. That's all. It's a vague answer. But her voice is kind, even warm, and you don't sense anything threatening in it. Just something delicate. Like she's stepping around a memory she's not sure she should share. Before she heads back to her apartment, she adds, "If you hear anything unusual, don't worry. The walls play tricks sometimes." When she leaves, you stand there for a few moments, letting her words settle. Tricks, stories, reopened rooms. A quiet feeling grows in you, not fear, not even tension. Just that soft awareness humans get when they feel like they've walked into a conversation already in progress. You return inside. The apartment feels calm, warm from the afternoon sun. You sit on the couch, letting your shoulders rest. There's a small, familiar ache in your chest, the kind that appears when you realize you Vess stepped into a chapter of your life where you were both excited and slightly unsteady. A recognizable human feeling, comforting in its own way. You hold on to it for a moment, then release it gently. As evening settles in, you make tea. While stirring the cup, you notice your hand tapping against the mug without thinking. A small rhythm, soothing. You glance toward the hallway, and for a half-second, a tiny, fleeting half-second, you think you hear that faint shifting sound again. Soft, patient. You close your eyes and let yourself smile. If someone lived here before, you murmur, I hope they liked tea too. The thought lingers, open-ended and light, like a question you don't mind waiting to answer. The next couple of days pass in that gentle, drifting way early days in a new home often do, where you're still learning the personality of the space without realizing it. You wake up to the soft light on the pale walls. You make your coffee with the same little tapping of your fingers against the counter, and you start to fall into a quiet rhythm. It feels peaceful, almost meditative. And even though you keep remembering your neighbor's comments about someone living here before, the apartment itself feels so calm and still that the thought never feels heavy. Just a soft curiosity, like the kind you get when you notice a detail in a painting and can't quite tell if it was part of the original design or added later by hand. It's on the third morning that you notice the first thing. You're crouched beside the lower kitchen cabinets, trying to decide where to organize your pots when your hand brushes something tucked at the very back of the shelf. It's small, maybe the size of a pocket notebook. You pull it out gently, half expecting it to be an old coupon book or a forgotten user manual. But it's not that. It's a folded piece of paper. Carefully folded. The edge is soft, as if it's been tucked there for a long time, undisturbed. You unfold it slowly, the paper crackling a little in your hands. Inside, there's a short grocery list written in looping handwriting. Jasmine tea, soft bread, candles, laundry tablets. A simple list, ordinary. And yet, as you stare at the handwriting, a strange softness settles over you. It feels like the kind of list someone writes when they're thinking gently about their own day, planning small comforts. You run your thumb lightly over the ink. Maybe the last tenant, you whisper. But there's something about the handwriting. It's calm, elegant, a little slanted. You can almost picture the person who wrote it. Not clearly, not with any certainty, but in that vague human way where you fill in the gaps with warmth before logic catches up. You tuck the paper on the counter, intending to throw it out later, but you leave it there for a while. It feels wrong to toss it immediately, as if you're interrupting a moment that didn't belong to you. Later, when you're rearranging your bedroom closet, you find the second thing. A tiny scarf, thin, soft, woven with pale threads that shimmer a little in the afternoon light. It's folded neatly, almost lovingly, and placed in the far corner of the shelf. You pick it up. It smells faintly of lavender, the same hint you noticed in the apartment when you first came back from the grocery store. You press the fabric lightly between your fingers. Huh? You murmur. There's no rush of fear or even surprise, just that gentle curiosity again. You think about how people leave pieces of themselves in the spaces they live in. A forgotten sock beneath the bed, a hairpin behind a drawer, a scarf folded away like this. Life always leaves traces. Still, you feel a little tug in your chest. A quiet, subtle ache that reminds you of seeing someone walk out of the room just before you arrived, still leaving behind the warmth of their presence. That very human feeling of arriving just a moment too late. You place the scarf on your bed and smooth it out with your palm. You wonder if the person who wore it had a habit like yours, tapping their finger against the mug, or smiling at their own thoughts in the early morning. It's silly, but the thought makes you smile softly. That evening, as you boil pasta for dinner, there's a knock at your door again. When you open it, it's Kareem. He's holding a takeout container. Hey, he says with a sheepish grin. I accidentally ordered 2 dinners. Thought you might want one. You laugh. That's the most generous accident I've ever heard of. He shrugs playfully. What can I say? My fingers move fast when I'm hungry. You take the container and thank him. Before he leaves, his gaze drifts past you toward the inside of your apartment. He leans slightly, squinting just a bit, like he's trying to listen for something. Then he speaks in a softer voice. Do you feel okay in there? The question makes you blink. Yes, why? Another pause, the kind that stretches just a breath too long. I don't know, I just thought maybe you heard something. People on this floor say strange things sometimes. You tilt your head. You mean about that person living here? He looks like he regrets bringing it up. It's nothing. I shouldn't have said anything. Enjoy the food. He taps the door frame lightly, a small nervous gesture, then smiles and walks away. You close the door and exhale slowly, the air settling around you again. You think of the scarf, the folded paper, and you realize you don't feel alarmed. You feel connected in a way you can't quite explain. Like you're sharing the story of this place, adding your own layer to something gently ongoing. Later, with the lights dimmed and the apartment humming softly, you pick up the scarf again. You sit on the couch, letting the fabric rest across your lap. You run your fingers over the threads, slow and delicate. The lavender scent rises again, warm, subtle, familiar in a way you can't place. You let your eyes drift shut for a moment, and in that quiet, restful space, you feel a soft thought float into your mind. Maybe I'm not the first person this home has made room for. The thought isn't frightening. It isn't even unsettling. It's simply open, tender, like a half-remembered lyric or a dream that slips away when you try to hold it too tightly. The kind of thought that invites you to breathe a little slower. You fold the scarf neatly and place it beside the grocery list on the counter, two gentle remnants of a life you don't know, but somehow feel comfortable sharing the room with. And as you put away the last of your things for the night, you catch yourself smiling softly at the empty air. Whoever you were, you whisper, you had good taste in tea. It's a quiet joke, a tiny bridge between you and the unseen. It feels natural and strangely comforting. By the time midweek rolls around, you start noticing the subtle rhythms of the apartment in ways that feel almost like tiny nudges from someone else. The morning light shifts across the living room differently than you remember, painting shadows on the floor where you thought the room would stay blank. It's soft, almost imperceptible, but it makes you pause and tilt your head, tracing the moving shapes with your eyes. You start leaving small things out, your favorite mug by the window, a folded blanket on the couch, not just for convenience, but for the quiet ritual of noticing how the space responds to you. Every little movement feels like a gentle conversation. One evening, as you're tidying the kitchen after dinner, you hear it again, the faintest whisper of sound from the hallway. Not a knock, not a footstep, more like a shuffle, a soft brush of movement that your mind can't immediately place. You freeze for a moment, the spoon still in your hand, listening. Then it stops. There's no one there, but your pulse quickens, not in alarm, just in quiet curiosity. The apartment hums with a soft, secret life that you weren't expecting. You shrug and keep working, but your thoughts drift to those small objects you've discovered. The grocery list, the scarf. The apartment is almost like a diary, each corner holding tiny evidence of someone else's presence, lingering without demanding attention. You wonder if they did this on purpose, leaving traces for someone else to find, or if it was just ordinary living, the natural accumulation of small details. Either way, it draws you in, weaving a gentle connection you can't explain. Later, curled up on the couch with a book, you notice the light catching on the windowsill differently. Shadows stretch and bend as if they're dancing with a memory you can't see. You tap your fingers against the spine of the book, a familiar habit, and allow your mind to wander. The quiet sound mingles with the faint hum of the building, and for a moment, you imagine someone else sitting nearby, turning a page at the same rhythm, sharing the same space without ever being there. The thought isn't eerie. It's oddly comforting. There's a human intimacy in imagining that presence, a recognition of life that has brushed against the apartment before yours. A couple of days later, you decide to explore a bit more carefully. You check the corners of closets, the backs of drawers, even behind the sofa cushions. There's nothing intrusive, nothing overtly personal beyond the few small items you've already found. Still, the feeling of someone's quiet overlap with your life grows stronger. You sense a pattern in the tiny traces, like the apartment itself is gently nudging you to notice, to pause, to acknowledge what's unseen. You start leaving small notes of your own, not in response, not to communicate, just a soft acknowledgement, a sticky note with a smiley face on the fridge, a half-empty cup of tea left on the counter. Little markers of your presence in the shared rhythm. That evening, you make tea again, place it on the windowsill, watching the courtyard glow with the last light of day. The warmth seeps through your palms, and for the first time, you notice a soft feeling of anticipation in your chest, like waiting for someone to arrive who might already be there. You're aware of the building's hum, the faint sounds of other apartments settling into evening routines. Somewhere far away, a door creaks. You imagine it could be the previous occupant, their movements woven into the familiar patterns of the building, and you feel a small sense of joy at this imagined company. You sit back, the tea cooling gently beside you, and allow yourself a quiet smile. It's strange, the soft intimacy with someone who might not even exist anymore. The apartment feels alive with memory, with gentle echoes that stretch back into time, and you realize you've started thinking of this shared presence not as something strange, but as a companion. The idea drifts through your mind without words, a light thought that doesn't demand answers. As night falls, you glance around the apartment, noting how shadows play across the walls, the soft folds of blankets, the faint lavender scent lingering in the corners. You think about the grocery list, the scarf, the small traces of ordinary life left behind. You imagine the person who left them, smiling at some quiet moment just as you do now. And you wonder, not with anxiety, but with gentle curiosity, whether they ever imagined someone like you would find these little markers and quietly honor them. You curl up on the couch with your blanket wrapped around your shoulders, sipping the now cold tea. The apartment is silent except for the gentle creak of the building, the soft hum of distant voices through the walls, and your own slow breathing. You feel the apartment holding you, acknowledging you, in a way that feels calm and safe. There's no rush to solve the mystery, no urgency to uncover hidden tenants. Only the shared rhythms of two lives overlapping in quiet, almost imperceptible ways. For the first time, you allow yourself to settle fully into the apartment, letting its soft presence seep into your chest and slow your heartbeat. And in that gentle pause, you feel a thread of connection, an unseen but undeniable acknowledgement that the space remembers, and that you are remembered in turn. By the time the weekend arrives, you've settled into a gentle familiarity with the apartment, enough that it feels more like home than ever before. The morning sun streams in through the windows in long, soft beams, illuminating dust motes that dance lazily in the light. You stand by the counter, stirring coffee absent-mindedly, listening to the subtle sounds of the building around you, a door closing somewhere down the hall, a faint scrape of a chair in another apartment, the distant hum of traffic. These ordinary noises feel intimate now, almost like a lullaby composed specifically for this space. That afternoon, you notice the scarf lying on the couch. You pick it up again, tracing the delicate threads between your fingers. You think of the person who left it behind, whoever they were, imagining the way they might have worn it around their neck, perhaps brushing it gently when they were lost in thought. A small smile tugs at your lips. It feels strange but comforting to feel connected to someone who isn't here, yet whose traces are so alive in the apartment. The apartment itself seems to hold their memory tenderly, like a soft whisper you can't quite hear but can feel. Later, while unpacking some boxes in the bedroom, you come across a small, empty jewelry box. It's simple, unassuming, tucked carefully behind a row of books. You lift the lid and inspect the interior. Soft velvet, faintly faded with time. There's nothing inside, but you can almost picture someone opening it to choose a necklace or ring, their hands brushing over the velvet with care. The thought is so gentle, so domestic, that it leaves a light warmth in your chest. Another trace of a life lived here, and another invisible thread that seems to reach toward you. In the evening, you make tea again, placing your cup on the same windowsill you've been using all week. You sip slowly, watching the sun sink behind the other buildings, painting the sky in muted shades of pink and lavender. There's a quiet peace in these repeated actions, a rhythm that's grown into a soft meditation. You think about the previous traces you've discovered, and for the first time, you feel a sense of understanding, not questions or unease. The apartment has its stories, and now your presence is quietly layering onto them, adding to a gentle continuum rather than disrupting it. A knock at the door surprises you, but when you open it, it's just Kareem. He carries a small potted plant this time, a cheerful green with tiny white blossoms. "Thought you might like some company," he says lightly, smiling. You thank him and place it on the counter. As he leaves, his eyes linger briefly on the scarf folded neatly on the couch. You notice a faint recognition flicker there, subtle and unspoken, as if he too senses the echo of someone else. As night falls, you sit on the couch, wrapping the scarf around your shoulders. The apartment is quiet, but alive with the soft, invisible presence of all the lives it has held. You think of the grocery list, the scarf, the empty jewelry box, and even the tiny plant Kareem brought. Every small object is like a whisper of the past, a gentle reminder that life has always found a way to leave traces behind. You let your mind wander to the idea that maybe this is what home really is, a space shared with memories and invisible companions, where past and present brush against each other in quiet harmony. It's not something to solve or understand completely, just something to feel. The apartment isn't merely yours. It's a soft, layered presence, a calm intersection of lives that have touched its walls, its corners, its air. And you, in turn, are leaving your own quiet imprint, adding to the delicate continuum. As you prepare for bed, you glance around the rooms once more. Each corner holds a gentle story, each shadow feels like a soft companion, and the apartment hums quietly around you, a comforting presence rather than a mystery to unravel. You feel your pulse slow, your thoughts softening, your body sinking into the gentle weight of familiarity. There is no rush, no expectation, only the quiet knowledge that you are part of a space that has always been welcoming in its own mysterious, unspoken way. The night stretches on, calm and unbroken. You settle under the covers, feeling the apartment's subtle warmth and its quiet. Invisible stories wrap around you like a soft blanket, and as your eyelids grow heavy, you whisper softly to the apartment, the scarf, and the faint memories lingering in the corners. Thank you for sharing this space. The apartment is quiet now, the kind of quiet that hums gently in the background, wrapping around your senses with a softness that almost feels like a sigh. You lie in bed, letting the weight of your body sink into the mattress, feeling every corner of the space settle with you. The gentle shadows on the walls stretch slowly and then pause, as if giving themselves time to breathe. Your fingers trace the edge of the blanket, the warmth seeping slowly into your hands, reminding you that this is a place made for comfort, for slow rhythms and soft evenings. Outside, the faintest sounds of the city drift in muted footsteps. The distant rumble of traffic, but here, inside, the apartment holds you safely, a cocoon of light, scent, and memory. You think of the scarf, the folded grocery list, the tiny plant on the counter, each a quiet emblem of lives touching the space gently, tenderly. You breathe in and out, slowly, deliberately, letting each exhale carry away the last of the day's lingering tension. There is no rush to understand, no need to solve anything tonight. Just the soft presence of a home layered with quiet stories, yours and the ones that came before, each blending into the other in gentle harmony. You feel a small, contented smile tug at your lips, and your eyelids grow heavier, fluttering like soft curtains in a gentle breeze. The apartment whispers its calmness to you, the kind that doesn't need words, just steady, gentle presence. And as you drift closer to sleep, you carry the feeling of this shared space with you, a gentle, quiet intimacy that lingers in the edges of your mind. Tomorrow, the apartment will continue its quiet rhythm, and so will you, part of a peaceful continuum that has always existed and always will. Let yourself sink fully into this calm, letting the soft hum of home ease every thought, every worry, until you float gently into dreams.